Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 9th meeting of the Lebanon Redevelopment Commission. As Dr. Taylor would say, as per our tradition, let's go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Linda, please lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And please let the minutes show that Dr. Taylor is absent tonight, excused of course, and the rest of the commissioners are in attendance.
Thank you.
So as the first activity would be the approval of minutes. Are there any comments, questions about the minutes?
Yes, there are no minutes, so we cannot approve.
So we can't approve anything. Let's strike that one.
So
jump right into old business.
Everybody got my email on Friday? Yes, so
Yes.
that's what we're working on. And
I apologize that I did not respond. I don't think
That's okay.
anybody was able to
nobody
at that
responded.
point,
So
so-
I believe
we'll have
Andrew
to
gave
get
a
back to that.
response this evening.
He did, it was just after 4 o'clock. So.
Okay. So for that item, we'll
Next
push
time.
to the next
Yes,
meeting.
thank you.
Sounds great. And I do apologize, I didn't respond to that either. So.
That's okay.
All right. So there is no old business on the agenda for this evening. Is there anything that needs to be discussed, commissioners? No? Okay, well, let's jump right into new business. The first item on our agenda under new business is the Downtown Revitalization Project Interlocal Agreement.
It has changed. Do you have another one of those?
No, we have enough. It has changed.
Yes, there's
Last
four.
minute change, excuse me. Looks like we're starting out with the Heart of Lebanon this evening. And Miss Purdue will be giving us an update.
Hi, thank you guys for having me back. Is that how that works? Awesome.
Does now.
Good job.
My name's Tiffany Purdue. I'm the Vice President of the Heart of Lebanon. And we're here tonight to request use of the Lebanon Downtown Co-working Development property for the Lebanon City Market, which begins on May 4th. We don't need the actual interior of the space. We're looking to use the area just south of the property, the parking lot area, and then a little bit west of the property, the area highlighted right here on the map.
Okay.
So it would be used for our vendors to set up and then our visitors to come and shop the market from 4 to 7 p.m. every Friday until October 5th.
Joe, this might be a question for you. Do you know how this is going to affect the proposals that we're working on to fill that building?
Well, Ben can help answer, but the bids are to be submitted by May 14th. Construction wouldn't start until later on in the year. This market could operate concurrently with any construction there. That construction wouldn't be completed until the market season is over on past October 5th. So we should be just fine to operate the market there while anything's going on inside that building.
Just to quickly add to that, I'd actually be surprised if we had construction started till about the end of the market season, most likely. So I think we shouldn't have any conflicts at all.
I guess I should clarify too, this area is the area that we'd like to use mainly because of the awning. It makes it really attractive to our vendors, and it helps us in the event of rain. I just want to clarify and add that we'd like to request the use of the awning area as well in the event of rain or extreme heat, or hopefully not, but cold.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Corey.
Just help me clarify, because I believe we're going to make a motion for usage as far as start time of vendor setup through tear down time.
Right, so the market itself runs 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. We would request use from 3:30, so just a half an hour prior, because we have ample space in that area. We don't anticipate vendors taking any longer than 15-20 minutes to get set up. And frankly, they don't come until that close anyway to start time. They've got it kind of down to a science, so we don't need it a whole lot ahead of time. As far as cleanup, they get out of there pretty quickly as well. So I would say 7:30, 7:45 at the latest to get everyone moving.
As far as the cleanup and trash goes, usually I'm assuming that they would use the city garbage cans around the square at
We
the
have in
previous
the
location?
past, yeah. The street department's been very great about letting us, bringing us trash cans. We bring our own porta potties, so that would be something that we provide and pay for.
So you'd have trash receptacles and porta potties on location?
Yep.
Okay. And then as far as for everybody at home, where would, if I were to go to the market, where would I park?
Parking is similarly located, so parking would be along Superior Street. This lot here is the public lot owned by the city, so that would be available to anyone coming. And then in general, if that were to be filled, the city streets would be the next best go-to.
Okay, very good.
How does this affect property liability? Is it any different than putting it out in the street? Rob, you know?
No, it would be similar. I believe the Heart of Lebanon presumably is going to still get insurance as well.
We do.
Okay.
Yep, we have that covered.
Okay, any other questions?
I just want to point out, I'm excited for this year. This is year 3, correct, of the market?
It is, yeah.
So going on to year 3, moving locations, we're going to be prime location, hopefully, pending an approval from this board, right on Lebanon Street. So it'll be highly visible. We won't have to impact any other business owners, which was a concern in the past. So I'm very excited to see what this market can do, given the new location.
Thank you. Yeah, and thanks to your guys' help and support, we'll have ample signage and we'll be able to really market it to everyone on a much larger scale than we've done in the past. So we anticipate it being kind of a new, revamped breath of fresh air, and we want everybody to come down and shop. There'll be a variety of different things, and we're still working with vendors to get a really full, robust market. So we're excited for it.
And you don't have to close any streets down to have the market
No
anymore,
street
right?
closure.
Fantastic. That's really nice.
Yes.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion.
I move we approve the Heart of Lebanon to operate the Lebanon City Market at the building.
The Lebanon downtown
They took the
co-working
picture off.
development property?
Yes, at that building. Friday, all Fridays from May through October, and the times 3:30 to 7:45 p.m. All areas outside of the building, which would include all of the lot areas as well as the awning space. And then I believe that would actually give access to across the road potentially, correct?
For parking or?
Or parking,
Any-
or if something else happens, that way it's just covered in one motion.
I would point out too, thanks to the help of Larry Lee and the street department and the mayor, we've striped the parking spaces and provided parking bumpers on the lot to the west, so it's now capable of parking about 50 cars
Awesome.
over there.
Very cool. So just to be a single motion to cover all those areas in case you expand
Great.
to a point.
And then, of course, I'm going to interrupt the motion. I do apologize. But has public safety been informed of the change, and do they have any concerns?
Not yet. I think we wanted to get approval before we,
Okay. Okay, that's it. Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, very good. Any questions, comments before we vote? Any questions, comments from the public? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Caleb.
Very good. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
And good luck with the city market.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tiffany.
All right, item number 3B on the agenda would be the revitalization project interlocal agreement with Boone County. And welcome to the podium, Mr. Kevin Krulik.
Thank you, and good evening, Commissioners. I actually want to go ahead and just talk about B and C. They're both agreements that we're going to ask you to execute tonight. They're both agreements associated with the downtown streetscape and Big Four Trail project. These are agreements that you previously authorized, if you will, through previous commission actions and RDA actions. These were part and parcel to those agreements that were already put in place between the RDC and the RDA. And so these are basically we're dotting I's and crossing T's here, and these are putting some standard agreements in place between the City of Lebanon and those entities that own property within those project limits. So specifically, we're talking about the Boone County Commissioners, who own the courthouse property, of course, and we're also talking about the state of Indiana through the Indiana Department of Transportation, who does control the right-of-ways of State Road 39 and State Road 32. So the first item is the agreement with Boone County, and the second one, the interlocal agreement on your agenda, is with the Indiana Department of Transportation. Again, these are relatively standard agreements that allow us to make improvements on properties that are controlled by those entities.
Okay. So I know there's been a lot of moving parts between the initiation of this project and where we sit today. Can you give us the Cliff's Notes version of any changes that have happened or major changes to these two agreements that we need to be aware of?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything necessarily related to these agreements that I would say are significant changes. This has been an ongoing effort of Mr. Shine and team in our legal department, just negotiating these agreements. There's been a lot of back and forth between our attorneys and attorneys for the county and the state of Indiana, and we just really, in the matter of probably hours, come to these final agreements that we feel both parties are ready to execute, and that's why these are before you. But again, the form, the concept, the idea behind the agreements is no different than we've already envisioned throughout the entire life of the project. I guess it's probably a fair time to talk about what has evolved in the project since we last met.
That'd be great.
Since we last met, obviously we opened bids on the project, and well, I say bids. Technically, we only received one bid, and that was disappointing. But I will say that the bid that we received is from a very qualified construction firm by the name of White Construction. They're a large multidiscipline construction firm that does a lot of different work around the country. But here locally in the state of Indiana, they've worked on projects as large as sections of I-69, the sections that went well, I would say, as well as other projects more locally and more with a finer grain of detail, like similar streetscape projects for the city of Greenwood. They're currently working for the city of Carmel for their Monon Boulevard project, which is a very similar project to what we're envisioning here. So we're excited. We weren't excited that there was only one bid, of course, and it was higher than our engineer's estimate. But we are excited the prospect of having White Construction do our work. They've came very highly recommended as we've checked references on them. So where we're at, there were two bids, or two prices that were required in the bid package submittal. One was for a base bid. The base bid, and we crafted it this way because we envisioned some potential inflations in the construction industry, and we wanted to be able to accommodate it and keep the project on schedule. So the base bid was for the courthouse square, including the intersection improvements at State Road 39 and Washington, State Road 39 and Main Street, as well as State Road 32 and Meridian. In addition to those intersection upgrades, the upgrades on all four sides of the square, three sides being on Washington, Meridian, and Main, are full streetscape reconstructions. There is work on the west side of the square, but it has to do more with the wall, the retaining wall on the courthouse property, and that sidewalk immediately adjacent, as well as the lighting along that sidewalk. So in addition to that work on the square, there is work on Main Street going a block west of the square to and including the intersection of West Street. Also still includes the alley improvements west of Peoples, between Peoples Brewing Company and the Revel Room and EB Ballistics shop there. So that is what was in the base bid. The alternate bid that contractors were also required to submit a price on is for the rest of Main Street, all the streetscape work on Main Street west of the intersection of West Street, to and including the intersection with Patterson Street, as well as resurfacing of Patterson Street and the extension of the Big Four Trail, a connection of the Big Four Trail to its current terminus point at the railroad right-of-way on Patterson Street, just north of that Main and Patterson intersection. So the bid that we opened from White Construction had $7,193,000 for the base bid, $4,193,000 for the alternate bid. So what we are moving forward with, what we have issued a notice of award for them, is just for the $7,193,000 project on the square, the base bid.
Okay.
This leaves us, and when you add in construction inspection costs, when you add in some contingency, just for the rainy day sort of scenarios, for the unknowns that we might find when we're dealing with a historic piece of property, we're anticipating about an $8 million project for that base bid. This leaves us with about $2.85 million. Actually, it's about 2.9 or so, because some of the numbers that we were holding for construction inspection have actually went down as we've been negotiating those contracts. Leaves us with about $2.85 million to do the alternate bid, the rest of Main Street. I feel pretty confident with that number. $2.5 million is generally what you assume when you're talking about road reconstruction for about a half a mile of road. You generally are thinking about, unfortunately nowadays it costs about $5 million to do a mile of road. So 2.5 for a half a mile of road, this is a little under a half mile, seems to make sense. It seems to follow along with other NDOT lettings for similar projects that we've seen. It follows along with our construction estimate for Indianapolis Avenue Phase 2. So feel pretty good that we can bring that project in at $2.85 million underneath our total project cap of $10.9 million. That's our bonding capacity for the projects. So we will rebid the alternate project in the fall when we think we'll have more aggressive contractor attention on this. This is also a much less detailed project than the square, so we think we'll attract more general contractors, more general road contractors. And we're hopeful we'll be successful at getting that price down to under our bonding capacity. We will, just like with this first construction document issue, we will build in alternates so that we can right-size the project. So, we can remove maybe some decorative material, remove some pavers at the intersections if we need to get the project built for that $2.5 to $2.9 million. So that's the plan going forward. Again, you authorized bond issuances not to exceed $10.9 million. We have actually sold bonds last week to cover this first phase of the project. We will issue second bonds with that second set of construction documents, that second bid package, later in the fall. And again, all with the goal of keeping our total project under that $10.9 million that was originally approved. So where we're at tonight is ready to move forward. We've issued the notice of award to the contractor. It is pending the closings of our bond. Bond pricings came in just as expected last week, so we're scheduled to close on those bonds. One bond on April 17th, one bond on April 26th, or 25th, excuse me. So April 26th, we will issue a notice to proceed, and we will officially be under construction at that point, and they'll have 195 days to complete the project.
Perfect. So you're on track at this point?
We've had a bumpy road, but we're still on track to complete that project this year, and still on track. If you remember, the alternate bid was never going to be under construction until next year anyway. So we feel confident we can also maintain the overall construction schedule for the whole project as well and wrap up Main Street in Patterson before the end of next summer. So where we're at tonight is sort of the next spoke, if you will, on the project, which is to approve these. I'm going to generally refer to them as interlocal agreements between the county and the state of Indiana.
Sure, sure. Well, thank you for the update. I like the sounds of on time and on budget.
We'll try.
So thank you. Thank you. Okay, do we have any other questions, commissioners?
Regarding this interlocal agreement, I do have a question. It's probably just a clarification from Kevin. Looking at the NDOT's responsibilities versus the city's responsibilities for the 200,000 plus for the traffic poles.
Yeah.
Do we typically see where, I mean, NDOT's paying for them and they become owners, but if they become damaged because they're decorative, then it becomes ours to replace?
What NDOT will require is for us to have spare material that is in the contract to be purchased and stored. And so because NDOT will take over the maintenance of the light poles, the signal poles. So if they were ever damaged, say in a traffic accident, they would make those repairs. If we didn't have the material on hand to replace in like kind with, they would just replace with their standard issue galvanized poles. So this agreement, you're exactly right, basically says that they will maintain the traffic poles, the traffic signals, and those controls, and that's what they want. They want to control the traffic system, the transportation system. That's what they're tasked to do. And but anything else, any of the other intersection improvements like the crosswalks, the curbs, things like that, we will be able to maintain.
Anything above the minimum standard,
exactly,
we're responsible for.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I will say, we really limited our decorative treatments. You know, our paver work and stuff like that is really outside of their right-of-way. So most of the stuff that's in NDOT right-of-way is fairly standard stuff, standard asphalt, concrete, thermoplastic striping. So.
Okay. That's the only question I had.
Okay. Any more? No. All right. Any questions or comments from the public? No. Okay.
Mr. President, Commission, just the one point of clarification. Mr. Krulik did a very nice job of the summary where we are. So what we're looking for would be a motion to approve. There are two separate agreements, one of which is technically not called an interlocal. So the project agreement with the county is we would be looking for a motion to approve the project agreement subject to the county's approval. And as Mr. Krulik indicated, they're meeting next Monday to address this. The second separate motion would be a motion to approve the interlocal agreement between NDOT and the Commission, and that would also be subject ultimately to NDOT's approval.
Okay. Thank you.
Do we need to give someone signing authority or?
These agreements have the entire RDC signing.
Okay.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion.
I first move we approve the project agreement with Boone County, subject to county approval.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, very good. That motion carries. And I'll go ahead and make the next motion. I motion to approve the interlocal agreement with NDOT for the downtown revitalization project.
I'll second that.
Very good.
Then just as a point of clarification, it's ultimately subject to NDOT approval.
Okay, I'll adapt my motion to say I move to approve the interlocal agreement with NDOT, subject to NDOT's approval.
And I'll second that again.
Okay, very good, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Very good, motion carries. Kevin, thank you very much for the update.
Thank you all
Appreciate
for
that.
your support. This is an exciting day for you and for Lebanon. I appreciate your support and your roles in this project. So thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Very good.
Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the co-working development property update. Ben, come on down.
Good evening. I'll give you a quick update here. Since the last time we discussed, we did distribute the offering sheet and held a pre-bid meeting with all potential bidders. I believe it was 2 Mondays ago. We had 3 groups represented at that meeting, and I've had a number of discussions with each of them, and I do expect to receive at least 2, if not 3, bids on the property from some variation of those 3 groups that were here, but a number of them are very excited about the project. We did walk through the building. They were impressed with the work that had already been done in there to clean it up, and it is very clean considering it was a mess not too long ago. So they are very excited. We do expect to see those offers come back in on the due date of May 14th for us to consider at this meeting, at this commission meeting that evening. So that's really the quick update I had. I expect to receive multiple offers, which will be a good thing. We'll have a number of different scenarios and concepts to be able to evaluate and consider what's the best for the city of Lebanon.
So as far as the groups, and I'm sure they're aware of the parameters, it's a unique agreement, as you even said.
Yes.
And were they, in your opinion, were they nervous about all the parameters after seeing the building? Were they more or less nervous, or about the same?
I don't think there was necessarily nervousness as it relates to the building itself. I've had a number of discussion about the financials associated with it.
Very good.
Certainly there's some questions about the lease offer as compared to the amount of money that may have to get put in the building to get it up to the standard of necessary for the potential tenants. So we've had some discussion that relates to that. But in terms of the actual building itself, it needs some work, no doubt. But I think everybody was pretty interested in the possibilities. We did have one group that may consider whether it gets replaced with a new building as opposed to try to revamping the existing building, which that's all great too.
Wow.
But yeah, there's a number of scenarios that we're looking at, so we should have some interesting concepts to consider.
Very good. Very good. Commissioners, any more questions? Okay, so what's the next step in the process? The May 14th, bid opening would be
that'll be the big day. The bids are due that day, and
Okay.
we'll be opening them that evening, and then we'll take the next month to evaluate the concepts and proposals, and then the following month and be considering awarding it to one of those potential offers we receive.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate the update. If there's no further questions, then before I let you go, are there any questions for Ben from the public? Please come up to the podium if you do have any questions or comments. Okay. Anybody? No? All right. Well, thank you very much, Ben.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. So that takes care of the new business on the agenda for this evening. Next, I have claims.
Mr. President, if I may interject, we did have an additional add-on. Emma Adlam from Umbaugh & Associates is here.
That's
and
right.
just
She even talked to me. Yeah.
She can talk a little bit about the annual TIF management report, and just we need to have the commission acknowledge receipt of it.
Hi, my name is Emma Adlam. I'm with Umbaugh. You have received the DLGF's annual TIF management report. It covers RDC 2017 activities, revenues, expenditures. It's due to be uploaded to Gateway by the 15th. So if you have any questions after reviewing, please feel free to contact us. We've prepared it and working a lot with Tanya. So all we're asking is just for you to acknowledge receipt in your minutes.
Acknowledged.
Acknowledged.
Thank you.
I move,
Acknowledged.
I move we acknowledge the receipt.
I second. Oh, go ahead, Caleb.
Second it.
Jackie? I'm sure I have it.
Probably take a vote.
I'm good.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Same sign. Very good. Motion carries. We all agree that we've acknowledged it. Very good. Okay, so now we can move on to the claims.
Mr. President, I need to recuse myself from the claims vote.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I have a question about one of the lines, and it could be that I just have a bad memory, but it would be the line for the Standard & Poor's Analytical Service, RDA lease rental bonds review.
During the bond process, we had to have, the State Board of Accounts had to come in, which they did, and do an audit for 2015. And in order for, Mayor, you might have to correct me on some of this, but in order for the bond to go through, we had to update our Standard & Poor's rating. And
oh, for our
just
credit worthiness?
Yes.
Okay.
And
okay.
we, just as an FYI, we went from an A+ to an AA, which is an upgrade, so
Yes.
we did really well. But that cost us $17,000.
Yeah, that was just part of the process. We had to, based on the issuance of the bond, we did have to have a new rating, so we were behind. So Tanya and her staff were able to get us caught up with State Board and get us audited correctly, and then it actually improved our credit rating too, which is good. So.
Well, very good. Congratulations.
Yep. Emma has a point, if we could.
Okay, come on.
Your invoice from S&P for the ratings gets paid out of bond proceeds, so it's not paid from the Redevelopment Commission. It's part of the issuance costs from the bonds that are being issued.
Thank you, I did not know that.
Would that be a different appropriation number on here then? Because it is, okay, so
It'll probably be
Void
reimbursed
that.
to us. Yeah.
That'll
Okay.
be voided
okay.
and reissued, not from this.
So
meeting.
do we have to call that in the minutes then, and when we make a motion to approve is to void that line?
Yes, please.
Okay. Any other questions about the claims? I'd like to entertain a motion.
Let me get this number. I move we approve the claims and void the approval number 51187.
Very good. I second that motion. Let's take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The claims are approved less number 51187. Very good. We got it. Okay, on that note, are there any other questions or comments? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
A second.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Very good. Well, thank you, everyone, for attending this evening's meeting of the Lebanon Redevelopment Commission.